Another beautiful night at the Navy Yard here in Brooklyn. Winding things down. Perfect time to test out the lights. Checking out the Piaggio Active line. And the other one that we've reviewed is the Comfort line. You can see it way down there, step through. All of the Active line models are high step. It's going to be a little bit of a stiffer frame, and I should say, at least for now in the United States. Love that they have these lights. It's the same lights as the Comfort line. Aimable. They kind of cut off at the top, so most of that beam is directed down at the road. Still got that suspension integrated right there on the fork. Only like 20-25 millimeters of travel, but I mean, it's better than nothing. And there's some adjustability here in terms of size. It comes in a couple of sizes. So we've got a large 50 centimeter. Well, I guess that's medium. And then we have the large that's 55. So it's neat to have a little bit of choice, especially when you're talking about a top tube. You got to swing your leg over. You don't have to worry as much about a rack because, you know, these don't come with it, but it is still set up so you could add something like that. And again, I'll showcase those on the Comfort line. I thought that was so cool. These bikes are really well outfitted, almost like feature complete, and we still get these tubular alloy fenders. Just really sturdy. They haven't been bouncing around a lot. And this one especially, very quiet. It's the Active Plus, which means you get the Harmony, H-Sync, NuVinci, N360 continuously variable transmission with electronic shifting. So that was a lot of talk right there. But essentially what that means is you have a very smooth shifting. It's not even like there are steps. You just have this ramp of power in terms of, you know, your pedal cadence, and it's controlled electronically. So the same display that you use to choose an assist level is also used to set a cadence or RPM, and then it automatically adjusts to let you ride at that RPM, kind of no matter what, whether you're going at low speed, high speed, climbing, whatever. It just takes the thought right out of it. And then assistance, well, that's controlled also by the display, but it's delivered through the motor. A really awesome system here. It's kind of brand new. It's something I hadn't seen before. You know, we're familiar with like Bosch, Shimano, Yamaha. A couple of these bigger companies have been in the space for a while, but Piaggio has this proprietary motor now that's very comparable. I'd say it's slightly heavier. It's about 9.9 pounds on that motor versus maybe 8.8 pounds on the Bosch Performance line. But it's compact. It's, you know, where it should be. And it's using a standard size sprocket, so you don't have a reduction gear going on. I believe that this sprocket up here is 42 teeth. Okay, so yeah, standard size. It's a little bit different because we're looking at the Plus model up here. If we walk over to just the Active, you can see that it's got a chain, it's got that nice slap guard, and it's got a cassette. 9-speed Shimano Deore. Good stuff, and I love that it has this chain cover that's paint matched. Okay, these are beautiful looking bikes, but you want to keep your pants or your skirt or whatever looking beautiful too. So a lot of attention to detail. Piaggio is a company that's been around since 1884, a long, long time. And I think they created Vespa in like 1946, right after World War II. So if you've ever seen a Vespa, it's kind of the same company. And I really appreciate that attention to detail and style, even just the colors here. And you look at how the tubes are formed, hydroformed, and then there's this little tail right here. Again, that's where the rack would attach. Just definitely an attention to detail and a quality level and a premium feel when you ride it. You do pay a little bit more for it. So again, $39.99 for the Plus with all the fancy electronic shifting. If you wanted to step it down and have a standard cassette and everything, it's going to be slightly lighter, maybe a few pounds lighter. That one's $34.99. Okay, so like right in between, maybe in the future we'll see one that has a, more of a traditional mechanically shifted NuVinci that we see here on the Comfort model, and that might be $37.99. I'm speculating here, but it's kind of neat to see all of these side by side. Been hanging out at Vespa Brooklyn. They carry these. They have the whole lineup with a bunch of different colors. This one comes in the sand, but otherwise we've got this gloss white and then silver. I particularly like the silver and white because you get that good visual footprint from the side. It's going to be safer riding in traffic, especially here on the streets. Rush hour, people got their lights on, but you're kind of at dawn when it's easier to get distracted, or kind of morning time. I guess I said dawn, in the morning when the sun's shining into your eyes. Dusk is also a semi-dangerous time. But we've also got reflective sidewall stripes on these Continental E-Contact tires. These are 28, so it's a little bit wider. It's more of a traditional road or city size, but it gives you some efficiency and stability. 28 by 1.6. So definitely a little bit skinnier, a little bit more efficient. And it's rated up to, I think, 65 PSI, which is definitely on the higher end. Coming back to those fenders, really solid integrated wires. So you'll notice how clean the cockpit is. That's because this one doesn't even have shifters, right? You just have these brake levers and then that button pad, and it's gonna let you select from a cadence options and your power level options, all right there. And this is a removable display. So one of the other things I think about in a city when you're commuting and stuff is, do I want to leave the battery on the bike when I'm in work all day? Maybe I want to charge that battery. Do I want to leave the display out there getting sun, rain, and whatever else? Maybe someone bumps it at the rack. This is a nice bike, and you can take that with you. I love it. And there's an app. It's fantastic. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Really nice touch points, leather grips, black. They're matching this Velo saddle. We talked about how this is a speed pedelec. So again, I'm thinking commuters or just people who want to go a little fast, a little sportier. Speed, the delivery on this, the power felt really good. It's fluid, it's responsive, more responsive than some of the comfort models. It's a little bit, kind of like slower to start. They feel stable. I wasn't experiencing like speed wobble or anything, but I wanted to stop pretty efficiently too. And so it's nice that they've got the Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. I believe these are M315. Got a 180 millimeter rotor up front. It's bigger than in the back, 160 millimeter. A lot of your stopping power does come from the front, so that's nice. And you might notice it's a 9 millimeter like axle, but there's no quick release. And at first I was like, oh, did they just put some nuts on it? But these are proprietary, so you've got like a little special tool, and I think Chris might have that over here. It's connected to the key fob, and you just put it on. It looks like a wrench with little star pattern. And you can get that front wheel off. But if you park at a rack, if you were commuting to work, you'll notice there isn't a lot of like quick release going on here. Same in the back. This is a 10 millimeter axle threaded with nuts, and that's pretty common. That's what I see on most of the NuVinci setups. I love this. If you're at a rack and people are bumping their bike into you, or maybe the bike tips over or whatever, there's just a lot less to get damaged. There is this little plastic box, kind of plugs in and everything, but there's not that big derailleur hanging down. I just want to run over here again and show you the difference, right? Like Shimano Deore got the big derailleur. It hangs down, so your clearance is a bit compromised. These mid-drive motors, they also hang down a bit, but you've got this plastic shielding going on. It's a little bit different. The motor, it's alloy cased and it's inside there, but the plastic paint match is beautiful. I don't think this is as much of like an off-road machine as, again, an urban like cruise around design. And this one's kind of cool too. It has an adjustable angle stem, flat bar, a little bit more comfort options right there. Flick bell, appreciate that. And then that one has the rack. I'm also with Larry from Piaggio, and you're, I guess, the Wi-Bike North America product manager kind of thing?
Project leader.
Project leader, okay. I'm always trying to remember. Can you tell me, like that one, that active line has the rack and stuff, and it has an adjustable stem. Is that how that comes?
Yeah, we're looking at a consumer price point, $34.99, with somebody who's a commuter, and we wanted to give them all the options as a commuter.
Yeah.
Our high-end Active Plus is more of that savory S-Class or the AMG model. It's a sporty model, so they, deleted the rack on that, but the rack is optional and you can get it anytime.
So you can get that, okay. And I've also seen there's this really cool trunk bag that's Piaggio branded. Yes. And it's got like these flop down panniers so you can expand it. That's a neat option.
Yeah, we have a line of accessories for these bikes.
Yeah.
They're all competitively priced. They're up on the website now. Okay. And it gives a range of products to tie in with our product, with the quality and design.
It matches.
To match the bike.
One of the other things, we didn't bring it, but there's an optional cafe lock. If you've seen these in Europe, it bolts on right here and it puts a metal rod through the spoke so people can't walk away with the bike. And the bike does weigh 60.5 pounds. This one right here, I've got all the measurements on this, like the seat post length, the reach, the width, the length. These are longer bikes, maybe a little bit more stable, especially at speed. They felt pretty comfortable. I'm also here with Chris Nolte. You run Propel just right down the block, and you've been really helpful. It's kind of neat to explore different products. It's not one that you carry, but we've been comparing it, riding the Bosch bikes a lot, Reese and Mueller and stuff, and now seeing more European brands coming to the United States. I guess it's nice to get another voice. Like, what was your thought about this speed version, the active version today?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty compelling product. I think they did a good job at it, and for us, like overall, we're just excited to see like more quality products being introduced into the marketplace. And I think that it seems like they really put a lot of attention to detail, and we could appreciate that.
Sweet, man. Well, the other thing about it is you do get a 2-year comprehensive warranty. They sell through dealers. The Vespa dealer, Andrew, he's not here right now, but it's high quality stuff. He's selling like super bikes and stuff, and I mean like motorcycles. So when you come to something like this, it's like, oh yeah, we can handle that, no problem, and the quality is definitely there. This is the charger. This is one of my like kind of minor gripes. Look how big it is. It's huge, but it does offer 4 amps of power output versus 2 amps, so it's going to be faster. It's got this nice proprietary plug, kind of reminds me of Bosch. This is the way to go. You're not going to accidentally it's going to be harder to like short the battery out. It plugs in directly to the battery mount on the bike. You can see down here, this is really cool. See this little window like that? It plugs in right there. And then if you take the battery off, which Chris might help me out here, you got the key just like that, twist it, get the pedals out of the way. Look at that. Yeah, 6.1 pounds on this, not bad. It's 37 volts, 11.6 amp hours. It only says 11 amp hours on the pack, but we were talking about the cells. They're from Samsung. They're the new high energy density ones. Pretty cool, pretty nice, pretty compact. And then the weight is distributed really well with the motor down here. You can see the branding on the side, the aluminum casing I was talking about, and the battery. So even though there was a little bit of frame flex on the step through when we were testing that earlier, these ones really don't have that, and the weight is right where you'd want it. And there's a huge handle, like for safety and stuff. Like, kind of reminds me of the Kalkoff bikes. They used to have the Impulse like motor drive system here in the United States, and it had a similarly positioned battery. I think a lot of companies are going for that spot because it provides the most balance and the best handling. This one also has the sporty, like race car red, deep dish V rims. They're going to give you a little bit more strength, maybe even some aerodynamic efficiency. They use Presta valves, but inside the tubes are a little bit different because they're deeper. So I think you need to get special, like fatter tubes. Or how would you describe that, Chris?
So one of the key things, if you need tubes for it, they're a little bit longer. You want kind of like a 60 millimeter length valve stem.
Yeah.
Where normal valve stem length might be more like 48 millimeters.
Okay.
So something to be mindful of. Might be something you want to have an extra 1 or 2 because shops don't always have that. You might be able to use a standard length on there, but then it might end up being a little bit short and be difficult to work with.
Okay, thank you very much. And then the display panel. So if I hold the power button for a second, a couple seconds, comes on, it's backlit. Now that it's kind of dusk, we can see it glowing. That's nice. I think it works pretty quickly too, and that's the other thing I think about, like how long you have to wait for the bike. 5 ticks on a battery indicator up here. Clock, it's flashing Bluetooth because it was trying to connect to the app. Speed in miles per hour, and then this gear, and that's really cool. On the inside is like how hard you're pedaling, and then on the outside is how hard the motor is working, so you get some idea. And of course, as you arrow up or down on assist levels, there's off, eco, tour, and power, so 3 effective assist levels with the display. Of course, the gear is it's gonna be like the motor's giving you more, or you can back it off and be more efficient. Should have pretty good range on these. Most mid-drives do very well because you can empower the motor by changing gears, or in this case, using that CVT. Climbing is gonna be a lot easier. The motor's not gonna be struggling. Of course, you're gonna slow down a little bit, but that was really the application. Like in Europe, they were like, how can we do more with lower wattage? Because that was the government restriction. And now with mountain bikes, same thing. So you're getting a really efficient drive system here, but one that's quiet and smooth with that NuVinci. Something I think about. Down here at the bottom, range says 57 miles. That doesn't change dynamically as I switch assist levels. Whoops, I accidentally hit mode. It wouldn't have changed. The thing is, it sort of just creates an overall range estimate. It sort of dynamically updates, and it's measuring a number of signals. So I pressed mode. I'm gonna press it again. I went to battery percentage, baby. I love that. A lot of times you're just like 5 bars. It kind of, like 20% increments. There's a lot of wiggle room there. Odometer, trip meter, cadence, max speed, average speed, and then watts, so you can actually see how many watts are being used, and then watts per mile. So again, it's like this motor, it's rated 350 watts to 500 watts peak, 60 newton meters of peak torque. I know that's a lot of stats, but if you think about the Bosch performance drive, the one that's been around for a while longer in the States, it's like 63 newton meters, and that's been used on mountain bikes and stuff. So this is definitely capable. I haven't had any trouble climbing hills. And we hit mode again, timer, and then settings. Settings is really cool, and there's just so much you can do with the app. beyond that display. And you can use both the app and the display. It's kind of a key to unlock the bike and get it going. You can set up rider profiles, so if you and a significant other are sharing this bike, you can do all of that. I'm gonna cut over back to the shop where it's a little quieter, and we were looking at that separately. Hey guys, so we're back in the shop. This is a good setting because you can see the LCD glowing. It's a little bit, you know, you're not getting the harsh daylight that we had earlier, and Chris's phone is gonna be accessible. We're gonna talk about the app. So there's this mode button down here, and when you press it, it cycles through some of the trip stats, but one of the areas says settings, and if you hold mode, then it enters into some sub-menus that let you connect to your phone via Bluetooth, or like a heart rate monitor via AMP Plus. So Chris has already set his phone up. He's got the app. It's called the Wi-Bike app. So if you search online, and keep in mind, this is like 2017, 2018. This app could change over time, but we wanted to dig in a little bit for what you get now. First of all, I love that it shows the battery percentage, that's also one of the sub readouts here. So many electric bikes just have like the 5 ticks, which is like 20% increments. But if there's only 1 tick, you don't know, 20% or 0%. So the percentage is really nice. Up here at the top, we have calories burned, speed, kilometers per hour right now, rotations per minute. That is neat. I experienced this. It actually kept up with me pretty well. The experience was fluid. It was a little softer, but it didn't fade out when I was at 20. It actually went a little above 20 in my experience. Maybe that's because I'm a relatively lightweight rider. And then beats per minute, that's your heart rate. So coming back to the calories and stuff, some of that might be refined depending on if you have that heart rate monitor. And then in the middle, speed in kilometers per hour. So very cool. What's this down at the bottom, Chris? It says assist level?
So you can do assistance levels in 10 increments. So you could go, you could adjust it a little bit more than you can on the standard display. Huh. And then you also have options for standard, for city, hill, or you can do on fitness, which you can change how much effort you want to put in as a rider. Say I wanted to do 120 watts and I want the bike to make up the rest. You can kind of make that so the bike automatically adjusts to that.
It looks like the highest end is 200 watts. Guys, this is what I'm always talking about. People are like, I want a 500 watt motor or whatever, and it's like the highest that they think you can put out is 200. So you've got a 350 watt nominal rated motor here up to 500. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of neat, and it sort of speaks to the power of these electric bikes. They more than double your human power.
Absolutely.
And that's a really fit rider, putting out 200 watts.
Yeah, and then from there you can just go into the different settings. You have the dashboard, destination, which you can use as a map. You can program in your destination, and it sets to define your location and give you navigation.
We did that earlier, and it seems like it uses the Google Maps API. It worked really well. It was quick, and you could save some of your locations. So you could be like, go home, Right. It's nice. That was a great feature.
Yep, yeah, and then you have that under the favorites. Then you have your profile, which is kind of cool, so you can program in your age and your height and everything else. And it will recommend some different details about the bike based on the data that you enter.
And that is so cool.
It really is.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Like, this was something I was excited about. The tire only said 65 PSI max. But then Larry was like, we set this up with 55 PSI usually.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting. I'm only like a 135 pound rider. I'm kind of light. And the super high PSI can feel stiff sometimes. So the app, I've never seen that before. The app actually tells you how full to inflate the tires for like the optimal ride experience based on your details, based on the details. Yeah. And then the seat post height, like they're like 65.7 centimeters of height there. Yeah, thanks, Chris. What else we got?
Yep, and then from there you have the diagnostics. This is basically, so you have these green indicators telling you that everything's okay on the bike at the moment. Mm-hmm. And you can also communicate this sort of information to your dealer to make sure that they are aware of, what app version you're on and all these different sort of things. And you also have access to the handbook online, which gives you more details about the app.
Yeah, that's nice, because lugging that thing around, it was pretty dense. There's a lot there, but it's a car company kind of, like the motorcycles and the Vespas. I noticed that it's not just, is the system okay? It's like looking at each part, the display, the battery, the motor, and apparently this uses the CAN bus system, which is an automotive standard that gives you more information, not just is it okay, but what might be wrong.
Right, absolutely.
That's great.
Yep, and then from there you have the heart rate monitor. Right now we don't have anything connected, but you can do different things. And I think on some of the H-Sync bikes, you might even be able to program your heart rate and have the bike adjust accordingly, which is kind of cool.
I feel like I want to maintain like 135 beats per minute and just get a workout.
Yeah, it's really interesting that, you know, kind of bikes going into that space some more. You can do quite a bit with that. And then this is something that's particularly exciting, this ability to actually locate your bike, and you have this GPS system.
Okay, so we were messing with that earlier, and you like locked the bike, and we pretended we were going away. And one of the other interesting features is like you can take this display off, and that acts as like a key for the bike, but then you could use your phone as a key for the bike too. It can connect. So it seems like the Bluetooth receiver must be in the mount, and that's why it's a little bit bigger. Remember, there's the USB port on the side too. Anyway, we were messing with the bike, and it gave you a text, and it was like, your bike's being stolen. We were like, sweet, it works. And then, you know, being able to track it down using that prepaid 2-year like SIM card setup, and beyond that, it sounds like maybe the price isn't complete yet, but $25, $35 a year.
$25 and $30.
That's what they're aiming for. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. It feels like we went pretty fast, but we went through a lot of different features there. Did we miss anything, Chris?
No, I think that's it.
Thank you. Well, let's head up, you know, hop on these things, give it a ride. Okay, that is really cool. It's just neat to have an app. It's awesome that more companies are doing this. It can be adjusted over time. I wanted to call out the pedals here. These are VP plastic platform, a little bit more aggressive than what we saw over on the Comfort model. FSA cranks, nice sealed headset. There's just a lot here in that bell. Before we come back and finish up, I just want to show you again the Comfort model, that step through. So if you're someone who maybe you have a partner and you want to go riding with them, or maybe you're more petite, this one comes in 47 and 50 in terms of frame size, so really low, and it's got that nice, you know, lower seat tube height, and it's just more relaxed. But this one only comes in 20 miles per hour. I just love how these look. Like they're polished. You know, do you have any just closing thoughts on this, Larry?
Piaggio tried really hard to bring to market the best that they could, and they tried hard with the quality, fit, and finish, as you can see in the paint and in the welds and in the hydroformed aluminum chassis.
Yeah.
We're hoping that the people see that when they see the bike in person. I think when you see it, you'll be happily surprised that it's a nice product.
Do you want to talk about the dealers in the U.S.? You know, we're looking at a Vespa dealer here.
So we have one independent dealer out in the Hamptons, and we have 9 dealers overall right now. We just rolled out 2 months ago.
Wow, been working hard, buddy.
Yeah. Our intention is to do a slow and organic growth. We're looking for the right dealers in the right areas, and we're open to independent bike shops as well as our PGA dealers. We're going to do a select group of each, and hopefully that hybrid style of doing business is the right way.
Fantastic. Okay, well, we're kind of done going over the stats. I'm going to hop on the bike and just give it a little bit of a ride, and we'll get some up-close shots too. Yeah, we stow that kickstand. I love how long it's adjustable angle, and again, we've got the dropout, rear dropout adjustments, horizontal. This is such a custom frame. You see the cutaway there on the right seat stay. You have to do that if you're setting up a belt drive, and it does add to the cost. You know, it doesn't happen for free. Okay, so we're in power mode, my favorite. Here we go. You know, notice the motor isn't like winding up and getting as loud as on some of my other tests. I think that's because we've set a cadence, right? So it's trying not to let me go too fast or too slow. It's saying that's the cadence you want to pedal at. Okay, it's always gonna be like that. I don't have to worry about shifting gears, but I end up riding faster just with that H-Sync. It's a cool experience. Pretty responsive. I'd say a little bit more responsive than the Comfort line. It's you know, similar specs. It's kind of the same motor hardware, but they've dialed it in for this type of application, a little bit sportier. And the Piaggio mid-drive does not have like shift detection. One of the only systems that does right now is Bosch. Impulse has that as well, but that's only in Europe for the time being. And it's not relevant if you have, you know, the continuously variable transmission. It's something that it might impact you a little bit if you're pedaling hard and you're switching gears on the Deore. But again, if you ease off a little bit, that motor is listening to rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, pedal torque, and pedal speed. So are you ramping up? Are you like accelerating? Apparently it even has some sort of sensing about going up hills and stuff. Pretty sophisticated. I do my best to demonstrate it, but back to like, you know, taking a test ride if you can. Okay, so on this bike, we've got the 9-speed Deore. I'm gonna shift gears. It doesn't have shift detection, but in my experience with the Comfort line, it hasn't been mashing that much, and it is measuring your rear wheel speed, your pedal cadence, your pedal torque, and pedal speed. So like, are you ramping up? And it's pretty responsive, kind of what you'd expect from a more premium mid-drive setup. There we go, we got it in power, and you can see that little gear. Shift down. So you see a little bit of banging if I'm purposely pushing hard. This time I'm gonna do it and ease off a little bit. Not bad. Also feeling pretty stable here with those big, wider wheel set. And man, look at the view out there. Beautiful sunset reflecting off New York City. Wow. And you can hear the motor a little bit more at those higher RPMs, compared to the H-Sync version of this bike, where it's automatically like keeping your pedal cadence the same. Higher RPM does make more noise, and that's the case with most of these internally geared mid-drive motors that I've tested. In fact, let's go down to a really low gear. Here we go. There we go. When we hit our max RPM, I can still hear the motor, and that's what I mean. It does have a higher cadence matching. I'm not sure if it's 120 or 120 plus, but I do feel like it's delivering power a little bit higher. Really nice sunset over there.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, look at that. Beautiful. It's gorgeous.
We raced over here because of the beautiful sunset. I just wanted to show you again, New York City. Got Freedom Tower right there, maybe a new apartment building going up. Everyone's getting in on the action. Larry's taking some pictures over there. And racing over here did give me a chance to mess with that other setting, cadence. Okay, so that's how you can raise or lower your cadence, and then the H-Sync automatically adjusts so that you maintain that cadence. You don't have to worry about shifting. I got up to, I think, 26-ish miles per hour. You do have to, you put in some effort, right? There are some bikes like Stromer where you're like at 28. Chris, can you think of any others that it's like they're, really powerful at that high end?
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, some of the hump motor bikes are more like that. Some of the older turbos are like that,
turbo.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
And with the center drive, it is more working with you. You're a little bit more active in that way.
Yeah. So that's the case here. I felt like 25, 26, especially with the cadence being automatically adjusted. It might be a little bit easier to reach the super high speeds if you have the Deore. And again, about 3 pounds lighter. So yeah, just kind of fun. Here we are riding at night. You can actually see the beam, not bad. And there's the display. You can't turn the display backlighting off. At least I haven't been able to figure that out. So it could be a little distracting, but it's not bad. Hey Chris, will you turn your lights on? Let's check out that rear light. It's only 3 LEDs, but it's pretty visible. And then you can see Larry's light kind of shining on him from back there. I turned my cadence up, so it's 74 now instead of 60. You can hear it a bit more, but this is more the pace I like. Yeah. Very nice. That is aimable. So we could bring it down if we want, but I like to spot things a little further out like that. We going up straight? Okay. There goes Chris. Climbing a hill. Nice to have that headset suspension, but this is still a little bit, you know, it's a little bit stiffer. It's got the narrow tires and stuff. Hey guys, from this view, you should be able to see that belt drive kind of running through on that chain ring up here. 42 teeth, and again, 20 in the rear. So a little bit of a smaller sprocket in the rear, and part of that so you can hit those higher top speeds. But just watch the motor as it starts and stops, how responsive it is. The belt looks like it's got a retainer on the right side of the rear, like belt ring, and then a retainer on the outside here on the chain ring. So feels like it's staying on track, pretty solid. Let's give it a go. Pretty neat. Like I was thinking, like, I gotta shift gears, and there's no shifter. You know, the cockpit's so clean, it automatically shifts. It makes riding just different, you know. It takes some getting used to, but very cool. I can hear the kickstand bouncing around a little bit, but otherwise this belt drive is just so clean with the chain cover, and it's quiet. It's working really well. Again, I'm not going to have to shift gears. You'll see me going faster, but the pedal cadence is going to update automatically because that H-sync. So hey guys, we're back at the shop. I'm hanging out with Andrew. This is his store. This is Vespa Brooklyn. And I just thought it'd be cool to go inside because you've got these lined up. They look so nice.
Let's check it out.
Beautiful. Oh yeah. I love all that. I mean, yeah, this is, yeah. The Vespas and everything. Like, can you give me just like a quick tour?
Yeah, so we've got Aprilia, Moto Guzzi. We've got Vespa scooters, Piaggio scooters, and here's the lineup of the new Wi-Bike.
Wow. And you said you've had them for maybe a few months now?
So we've had these since beginning of August. Sales have been very strong. We've sold over a dozen units already.
This is neat. So people maybe come in for a motorcycle or Vespa, and is that how they're exposed, or are they actually seeking these out?
Well, we've started out by exposing it to our existing clientele. So we know that our existing clientele are cyclists already that might be looking for a new type of technology or a new type of vehicle. So we've really started targeting there. But then we're getting customers that come in that say, well, I don't want to get a license or insurance.
Yeah,
so great. Now I have another vehicle for you to commute with.
Yeah, especially in Brooklyn. A lot of people
Brooklyn, New
cycling.
York are a hard place to own a motor vehicle. Mm-hmm. Insurance can be expensive, parking can be difficult. And in New York, we've got over 1,000 miles of bike lanes now. So cycling and commuting via bicycle is becoming friendlier and friendlier every year.
Yeah.
And now with a solution like this, you can really have the best of both worlds. You can commute to work in the morning. Yeah. You can not sweat in your nice dress shirt because you've got some assistance.
Speaking of which, yeah, you're very.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. So
yeah.
But with the fitness app that we have on the app on the iPhone and Android, you can then turn this into a fitness machine. And on the way home, you can dial up and say, you know what, I want to burn 800 calories tonight. And then you've got yourself a commuter and a workout bike.
That was so cool. Yeah, the app on this is one of the neatest that I've seen in a while. You know, again, this is cool. Do you have a website that people can visit?
We do. So our website is WeBikeNYC.com.
Okay. Well, people will check it out. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
That was tons of fun. I especially like it when I can meet from like an official rep from the company. And Chris, you know, I always appreciate your help. It's nice to get varied perspectives. Thank you for sharing your time. I've got all the stats, all the specs, everything back at the website. Yeah, you know, try these bikes if you can. It's nice to see them side by side, but of course the ride experience is great, and I appreciate, again, the 2-year comprehensive warranty that you're offering. It's a higher quality product. Ride safe.